those who were determined to carry the fight to Jerusalem. The SICARII. To the SICARII, anyone who wasn't fighting the Romans was a collaborator and worthy of death.
Many were slain every day, and the fear men were in was worse than the calamity.
Like you said, the British conquested everybody. We said, what's that?
Talk about Russia. I'm one of those rare people. I fucking went to Russia. Spent 10 days there, playing jazz with the young black dude. We were in fucking Siberia, and all I can say is, yeah, I've seen the other side of the world. I know how the other half lives. Like I was told, believe what you want to believe. Make the best of what you got. And that radically altered my taste for America, even though America is a crime.
What do you mean? Oh, because they live harsh out there. I see what you're saying.
And then some motherfucker said to me, he was a policeman's son. And
Out here or out there?
Russia, Siberia. And me and this brother were there playing music for him.
Yeah.
We went over there on a sister city journey. No money, but our incentive was a free trip to Russia. Hey, I looked at him, I said, do you want to go? Let's flip a coin, let's do it. Well, it was the worst shit we could fucking imagine. The power and the water went off. They had food with flies on it. We were sick as dogs. The toilet wouldn't flush. The lights wouldn't go on. And they were bossing us around. And aside from that, we still fucking put on our tuxedos and played some Charlie Parker.
You was already out there, might as well.
Shit, because we knew they loved that freedom that we had in our music. And one day in the Marine Terminal, nice gig, and I'm wearing my tuxedo. My doctor had said, don't drink alcohol because I gave you some medication that doesn't combine.
Was this Soviet Russia or was this
This was right after the fall.
Oh, okay,
like
when they were still rebuilding, like, with the reconstruction.
94, he said.
Well, no, the shit was falling apart, man. It was like an outdoor flea market everywhere. It was terrible. So, I couldn't believe how the women still looked good and the men would kick your ass. Because I didn't figure out where the healthy food came from or whatever. We were sick. Our stomachs were not able to function in that environment. And this policeman's son said, well, I still believe that Russia is the greatest country on earth that you will ever see. And I said, dude, shut up. Just shut up.
They had that pride about them, just like Americans, though.
But I told him, this is where he set me off. The inner gangster came out. I was ready to kill this motherfucker. See, he said, well, we kick your ass at chess. We write the best music. We are the best athletes.
Yeah, we know that's a lie.
And I go, hey, dude, don't talk that shit to me. We're jazz musicians. We say the fuck what we want to say. Whatever I want to say, and we play what we want to play. That's why you love us. Don't forget, we came 8,000 miles to play some music for your ass. Now, next time that you think that Russia is the greatest country on earth, shut your mouth first. Come to America, where I live, and see what it's like when the lights and the water and the toilets flush and the meat is wrapped in plastic and the road isn't falling to shit. The roads are getting bad here now. But
bridges and all that type of stuff.
But over there it was really bad.
I believe it.
Really bad. We were there for 10 days, and it was the worst 10 days of my life.
Siberia is a big country too. That's like one of the staples.
Well, it was actually over in the which is near Vladivostok. It was like a port city, ringed by the trains that they got in open. And I said, dude, I got a suggestion. Like, got my Mac Daddy tuxedo on, women on my arm. And I said, next time you think that, why don't you come to America first? Quit watching all of them motherfucking Schwarzenegger movies. Come and spend time where I live. I'll take you out to a restaurant. Then come back to this shithole, and we'll see if you think it's the greatest country on earth. I notice your friends who have been to where I live, They're not saying it's the greatest country on earth. They want to marry me. And he was shocked. He had good English. I didn't speak Russian. He goes, you know something? We used to have camps for people like you. And I just wanted to go.
That's hilarious.
So I had some vodka, combining with the medication, and I said, leaving all of the expletives out. I said, motherfucker, don't you ever say that to someone who's Jewish. Don't you ever
Really?
say that.
Why not? But you respect people's ideologies and platforms.
They got those camps over there. You know, what people don't remember about, and I'm not a Jew, but what people don't remember about what's going on in Israel now is they're not Christians. They don't forgive the same way that Christians are taught to. You fucking fire rockets into their backyard and steal a bunch of the kids.
What they moved those people out in the 70s.
What's that?
The Nakba. They moved all them Arabs out in 1948.
The very first Nakba.
Yeah, but I'm talking about.
I mean, 70 years ago. That's 70s, but yeah.
You know that atrocities beget atrocities, and there's no inhumanity greater than the inhumanity of men to other men. And it's
So where does the justice come in? That's my point. I just read a verse to you that said the people that did that conquest and crime of America, God feels that they should punish for that. They should perish and be punished for it. How do you feel about that?
Should the British be punished too?
Of course. Why not?
In this life or in the afterlife?
Whoever's the descendant of those people are going to be punished.
Okay, now I have a hypothetical.
Because we believe in regeneration. You come back on the earth.
I actually believe
They're going to be judged
on a lot of things. And there was something about the debates where someone said, Richard Nixon wasn't a fucking dunce like Trump. He said something back then in one of those debates. He said, we actually both agree on what we want. We just have a different vision of how we're going to get there. And so, if you want justice, the question
a lot of presidents say that, though.
What's that?
A lot of presidents say that.
Well, they say what's convenient and gets them votes.
But that's why there's only two parties, though, and there's not an odd number. They force us down a certain path, Republican or Democrat, when they're all already bought and paid for.
Well, let me ask you this. I also did construction work. You know what I had a good talent for? Demolition. Tearing shit apart. And it made me
America's going to be
about if America
demolition.
is a crime, and we need justice for all of the people who built it and didn't get paid and hung from trees and fucked up by the justice system, then perhaps the communists are right that the only solution is to burn it to the ground and start all over.
And that's how God feels. Go ahead.
Look, for example, Art, let me just paint this picture for you right now. I'll take your bike and your helmet right now. Yeah. Right? I take them, I snatch them off you right now. Right? No, look, listen.
Yeah.
You say, I want my justice. Give me it back, and I only give you your helmet.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Native Americans are going through right now. The bike is the whole land. Your helmet's the reservations that they're starving and drinking themselves to death
The
on.
choir. I know enough about American history to have said to my stepdad when they gave reparations to the Japanese. I got an audiographic memory. I remember the conversation. I said, that's bullshit. And they go, what? Do you hate the Japanese? I said, no, it's just bullshit because you're only giving reparations to certain people. And you don't take into account. I had a black stepfather at that point who would kind of hit me to
Interesting.
the
Yeah.
you know, what was really
Racial
going
divide,
on.
yeah.
And I said, if you give reparations to black people, or even talk about it, that's a different equation, but the Japanese are getting theirs. You know what my stepfather said?
What'd he say?
He was like grandson of a lawyer, and just always some smart old white man shit. Because I was kind of hot-headed, you could tell I mellowed a little bit, but I was arguing. I go, reparations for the Japanese is bullshit. Either you give them to everybody, or you start doing something that indicates that. They go, that's not going to happen. And I go,
Why, though?
you know what his answer was?
What?
Fucked me up for a minute. He said, Well, Arthur, the reason the Japanese got reparations and black people haven't been a part of that is because the Japanese were American citizens
Exactly.
and the slaves were not.
Yeah, 3/5 of
And I
the
go,
human. Yeah,
Oh, thanks for that. I'll tell that to all my black friends, see how that goes over with them.
and that's still on the books right now, though. You know that, right? In the Constitution.
Hey, we live in a time of great change. The planet is
Did
undergoing
the
change.
Constitution change?
Have they changed the
Yeah.
Constitution?
Did they change black people being 3/5 of the human?
Well,
Of course not.
there is the
That's why they
amendment.
can kill us in the streets and cops can go free every time. Or a black person get killed by a random white person, just like it happened last week in Texas. You heard about that case? A black person that was in the military went to Texas
Yeah, I think
and
so.
and made a 911 call talking about white people are chasing me down with a gun about to kill me. Then they found his body in a park like a few days later. Then they try to blame his own sister for killing him that lives in Florida. That doesn't make any sense. Where's the justice for that? Where a white person can kill a black person unequivocally with no type of justice involved, and they're like, oh, well, the white person didn't do it. Even though he said it on the phone call, 911 call, it's recorded, but the sister did it. That doesn't even live in Texas. That's crazy. They don't even want to look at their own people as criminals anymore because you're going to protect your own people. That's where it comes into.
Hope you don't mind me saying this.
That's crazy, bro.
There's no racial group that can complain that they are not free from transgression.
That's not the point.
I know it's not.
Because we're dealing with our problems internally. A white person can't come into a black neighborhood and say, hey, stop shooting each other. First of all, they'll never do that because they provided the guns and drugs.
Well, maybe they made the guns and sell the guns and own the
No,
stock.
they dropped guns in Chicago, LA, all the hoods in America back in the 60s or back in the 80s. Did black people bring drugs to America and put it in their own community to suffer? Of course not. The CIA did. The government. That was all built to destroy our communities from the inside out.
Okay, now what if I said, this is hypothetical, that I agree with everything that you're saying, but we've been standing here doing a lot of talking. And like the gangsters used to say, now it's time for action. What kind of action could accomplish what you're talking about in a generation or so? And how is that not seen as a complete abandonment of anything good? I didn't say America wasn't a crime. But I also, like I was telling that Russian dude, you don't know what's good about America.
The amenities.
Well, no, not just the amenities. The fact that
That's all you referenced. The toilet didn't work. The power shut off. That's all you said. The food, what flies on it. That's all you
that wasn't
said.
exclusively it.
I know that, but that's all you mentioned. That's all I can respond to. That's all I'm responding to. What you said. That's it.
Every country that you go to has behaved atrociously
I agree.
in some way to other people, other countries.
Absolutely.
And my goal through music is to spread the good vibe, the love for the time that I'm here on the planet. I'm not here to solve all the problems or come up with all of the answers or even interpret
I'm
the
going to
Bible
answer your
for
question.
somebody else.
I'm going to answer your question.
Sure.
What action are we doing?
No, I didn't say that. I said what action could be undertaken besides what a lot of people don't want to hear. Like, no, you ain't coming after what I built up, my family, my house. I'm not giving my house back to.
Absolutely. Of course. Why would you?
Well,
You already have the #1 country in the world.
That's what I
The
said.
military
to my mom when
power,
she said,
the economic power.
I think the Jews should give land back to the Palestinians. And I go, well, gee, Mom, see, I was a radical. I said, gee, Mom, I wasn't trying to upset it, dear departed, you know. I said, well, why don't you lead by example? How come you're not giving your house back to the American Indians?
What'd she say? Confounded, huh?
I'm not saying that my mom hated it when I talk like that, but then
Yeah, it shows that she's a hypocrite. That's what it does.
Fucking stepfather would say, I think your mom wants to end the evening. Good evening. Thanks for coming over for dinner.
So don't even acknowledge it because I'm on stolen land.
Yeah, but you see-
but the Palestinians should get their land back.
Don't mind me saying this, because
You
everybody's
see
got
how
this
hypocritical the white man is?
right. Do you notice that everybody here is standing? I appreciate you guys. The conversation is all men.
Of
When you're
course.
sitting down at a family table, the shit that I could talk about with my son, about who his great-grandfather was and what my dad did, I'm telling you, man, I said I don't want to start crying. My life I was raised on people fighting alcoholism, guns, violence, triple suicide, unbelievable, fucking unspeakable tragedy. People say, well, you're a hard motherfucker. Why do you gotta talk like that? And I go, like what? We're just having a conversation. I grew up in Oakland too. What? I'm not an evil person. I've seen some shit and lived through more shit than most people, most white people. Most of them.
Interesting.
You know, so
What about the people that got their land stolen and what they had to live through? Having their babies ripped out of their mother's wombs and fed to dogs, being beaten, whipped, and the women raped.
what do you think of the line? My quote in the Bible is, "Vengeance is mine alone."
Oh, really? Give me that. Exodus 25?
Yeah,
Or Ezekiel 25? Give me that.
Yeah. Let me say something like that too.
I'm gonna
Give me
have
that.
to jet in a minute.
Yeah, give me that. Ezekiel 25.
I think you think that we're still waiting for justice from this kingdom, from this nation.
Let me put it
We're
this
not
way.
waiting for judgment.
Let me put it this way. I
We
think I
understand
agree
justice ain't coming from America.
I think that you don't understand. I actually agree with more of what you're saying than you think. Because I know a lot of times you'll never get what you're wanting unless two things happen.
Where you
Wanting
at?
it is cool. 25-14. But sometimes you got to
Yeah.
ask for it.
Give me Jeremiah 51.
And even if you ask for it, you
And
may
20.
not get it, but at least you ask. And then if you got the army,
Ask?
yeah.
Who are we supposed to ask?
I didn't say. I'm just saying, like they used to tell me when I was having problems with city government, and the mayor was saying, writing letters to the DA, this guy needs to be criminally prosecuted. I told the mayor, fuck you, you're the criminal. You know, he was. In this town, I flipped him off right on this fucking corner.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
That's not going to change his
I'm
dollars
just saying.
and his standpoint.
You can ask if you really want something. Some people say ask God. I believe people are like prayers. I believe.
What do you mean?
Some people do have some authority, and if you know who to ask, you can get certain things from people. You will not get it unless you ask them for it, and you ask them nicely. But what I learned.
Can I ask
from
you
my
something based off that?
Well,
Can I ask you something then?
sure, I'm almost done. But my granddad taught me you don't get what you want by asking. Take it.
Take it?
You, and this is what my dad always said, you and what fucking army?
Uh-huh.
Break it out. You're protesting.
I like that point.
You know, break it out. And I talk about that same shit myself because I could be coming into some money and wanting to start my own motherfucking deal. I got the guts, the brains.
What would you do? Oh, you can't tell me, huh?
I would tell you.
What would you do with the militia that you create or mob that you create?
One of the things about my granddad was that he didn't always use violence. He used the threat of violence.
Uh-huh.
So you kill someone to demonstrate.
Yeah, you're
that
capable of
people-
doing it, yeah.
This is what happens if you don't fucking cooperate.
Yeah.
First, I would take over the labor rackets.
Labor rights?
Labor racket.
Uh-huh.
Note that the gangsters in New York, you heard of Bumpy Johnson?
Yeah.
You know about all of that?
Black drug dealer, yeah.
Numbers run.
Yeah.
Right. Well, better get out of here before you figure out who you're talking to. My granddad stole that shit.
Interesting.
He took over the fucking numbers.
Nothing new under the sun.
What?
Nothing new under the sun, huh?
Nothing new
The
under
white
the
man
sun.
stealing from the black
My
man.
dad
Isn't
said
that
to me
crazy?
When I was growing up, he goes, look who fucking stole the numbers racket from your granddad.
Who?
Well, first it was Italian, but then it was the government. Who runs the lottery now? The government.
Yeah, of course.
Who puts the tax stamp on all of the bottles of liquor?
Yep, mhm.
The government.
Yep.
So you've seen the
But you're all the
bumper
same people,
sticker,
though.
Don't steal. The government hates
Right.
competition.
Don't litter, but there's
So we agree
thousands
on
and millions
a
of
lot,
tons of plastic
but
in the ocean.
what-
You get what I want?
Do you have kids? What do you think?
I don't have kids. Let me read this, though. Give me that. 51 and 20. Or where you at?
I got
Yeah, Jeremiah 51 and 20.
Jeremiah 51 and 20. That are my battle axe and weapons of war.
This is God talking about the Israelites. The Israelites are going to be the battle axe of God. Read on.
For with thee I will break.
With what?
For with thee.
With thee, with you, Israel. Read.
Will I break in pieces the nations?
God's going to use the people to break nations. Vengeance is the Lord's, but the Lord's going to use people to do it. Go ahead.
And with thee I will destroy kingdoms.
I will what?
With thee I will destroy kingdoms.
This hasn't happened yet. Those Jewish people aren't doing it because they're not the real Jews. Go ahead. Keep reading.
And with thee I will break in pieces the horse and his rider.
Yeah, the horse and his rider are talking about the military might or the people that is in power. Read.
And with thee I will break in pieces the chariot and his rider.
Read on.
With thee I will also break in pieces man and woman. And with thee I will break in pieces old and young.
Read.
And with thee I'll break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock.
You get the point. Keep reading.
And with thee I will break in pieces the husbandman.
So it's all correlating with God putting the judgment on the other people with the Israelites. Literally, give me that.
Ezekiel 25:14, and I will lay my vengeance upon...
Start at 12.
Thus said the Lord God, because that Edom had dealt against the house of Judah...
Edom is the so-called white man today. We can prove that, but I know you got to go. But keep reading.
Against the house of Judah by taking vengeance.
By what?
By taking vengeance.
The white man took vengeance on our people. Read.
And had greatly offended.
Have what?
Have greatly offended.
They've greatly offended. The crime in America has greatly offended God. Read.
And revenged himself upon them.
Go ahead.
Therefore, thus said the Lord God.
Thus saith who?
The Lord God.
The Lord God, the creator of heaven and earth. Read.
I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom.
I'm going to judge Edom. Read.
And will cut off man and beast from it.
I'm going to kill him. Read.
And I will make it desolate
I'm
from
going to make
Teman.
it desolate. Read.
And they of Dedan shall fall by the sword.
Read.
And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom.
How?
By the hand of my people Israel.
Israel's going to judge the people. Vengeance is the Lord's, but God's going to use his people to do the ultimate judgment. The killing, the conquesting, and righteousness, because they did it to him, the Israelites first. We're the Israelites. Go ahead.
And they shall do in Edom.
They do what?
And they shall do in Edom.
Read.
According to mine anger.
They're going to do how angry God is. He's going to use the Israelites to judge these people. Read.
And according to my fury.
According to God's fury. Read.
And they shall know my vengeance.
You're going to know. White people are going to know the vengeance. Mainly white people, not just them alone, but they're the main culprits of the conquest of the world, like you said. The British conquest of the world, according to you. We agree. They went to Australia. They went to India. They went to America. They went to, or the Spaniards went to South America, whatnot. The French went to Haiti. The French went to Central of Africa. The British went to Africa. The Portuguese.
Don't forget what the Japanese did to the Koreans.
I mean, like I said, those aren't our people. Of course, we can recognize that as a criminal atrocity, but we're only talking about our people here. Because they still have their country over there. They know who they are. They have their history still. We don't have our history. We have the Bible has our history. We have to do our research now. Like you said, you don't know who my family is. Of course, you don't have to tell us, but of course, you have at least the verbal information through your dad and your grandfather. They have the cutout pictures, like you said before, of what he did. But overall, you can go to your family and learn about your history. We don't have the capability to do that. Let me finish this. Keep reading, man. Hold on, let me finish this real quick.
That was pretty much it. And they shall know my vengeance, said the Lord God.
Go ahead. What's up?
Thank you. Appreciate that, bro. One of the things that I encountered recently was a little bit of a religious experience. I had heard that the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, are big into genealogy because a friend of mine had married a Mormon girl and was telling me all about this, and he does genealogy. But you see, remember I told you I got a son?
Genealogy in what way? Through records or through DNA? Because I agree that Mormons do have a lot of history. They have a lot of artifacts and things like that. But
I'll just let you know from the angle that I have heard, that I believe to be true, they have access to a lot of software. Just like if you watch Finding Your Roots with Henry Louis Gates. You ever seen that?
no.
Oh, come on, man. He was the guy that an esteemed black scholar was pushing his front door open when Obama was president, and this white cop came up and said, "Hey, I see you making a lot of noise. Show me some ID." And Henry Louis Gates said, "I don't have to show you fucking ID. You know, get off my porch.
Yeah.
This is my house."
Yeah.
And the cop arrested him. Obama stepped in. This is anecdotal, but it is true. Obama stepped in and said, hey, this has gone too far. You know,
Obama was there, literally, physically.
not physically, but
Oh, he just heard about it,
was
yeah.
friends with Henry Louis Gates,
Oh, I see.
little black man. And this dude has a television show. Check it out. You go online, Finding Your
How long
Roots.
ago was this?
What's that?
How long ago was the show?
His show is on running.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Henry
just
Louis
trying-
who? Gates?
Henry Louis Gates. What I'm trying to say, as an African American man who knows the whole history of my granddad, America, he helps people trace their genealogy, and he does it through 3 different ways, like I was saying. There's blood analysis of geographically where your ancestors live, but there's also the kind of shit that I dug up on my granddad and my great-grandmother. They did newspaper interviews in detective magazines back in 1930s. So for me to track all of that shit down, I was able to find all of the stories that I never heard because they never wanted to talk about that shit. But in addition to that, newspapers, birth records, Social Security index. You know the other one that's good that I see my dad's name in?
Census and all that?
Census,
Yeah.
right. So you see all of that, you get a better
But the census
idea.
only goes back so far, though. I've done that. My census only goes back to like 1880, maybe a
I
little
don't know
before
how
that.
I did it, but because my son is a software engineer and 10 times as smart as I am. He says, you know, I've traced our genealogy back to
Ashkenaz. Ashkenazi Jews. That's
just
impossible.
so far. I'm saying people like to, you know, the expression lord it over somebody.
Uh-huh.
Like, I can quote the Bible. I know the periodic table of the elements. I got this. You know, that's why they call it landlord. This is mine.
I see what you're saying.
You got to pay to be here. That's like lording something over somebody. Well, he lorded it over me. He goes, I got the genealogy, and then my wife is Asian, so that goes back to China. And they don't collect the same kind of shit that we do in terms of like shit passages
Yeah.
and stuff. But there's another way of finding all of that out. And he goes, he doesn't believe the Bible. He doesn't believe in God. He's a computer scientist.
No surprise.
He says, and I go, you're my son. I love you. You're a magnificent creation. Let me have my Bible and believe what I want to believe, right? Do you respect that? And he goes, sure. But it's all bogus. It's superstition.
That's what he says?
He goes, you know, anybody who believed that the earth is 6,000 years old and Adam and Eve, you know.
Oh, so he has the answers. I would let it talk to him.
Well, he's a total scientist. So,
How can he prove the Earth is older than that?
what's that?
How does he know the Earth is older than that?
Carbon dating.
Wow.
Look, I grew
Wow.
up with this kid, you know.
You know how carbon dating works?
Yeah, he explained it to me one time. It was a little over my head.
Is it accurate?
To a degree it is.
Of course it's not. You have to know how much carbon's in the air at that particular time of that event. Whether it's the Earth, whether it's anything.
He told me
And
it
it's
had
impossible.
something more to do with like the decay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You
You have to know how much carbon's in the air when the decay started, and that's impossible. It's impossible to know.
Well, isn't that what a criminal case is? Is like, were you there?
Well, no, the
How
criminal
do we
case
know?
we're talking
How are
about
we
is
gonna prove
America.
it?
DNA and things like that, of course, that can be all over the place.
Well, then, let me ask
That's
you
what you're
this.
referencing.
How can we prove America is a crime?
You already said it.
With what? I didn't prove it. What kind of evidence do I need to prove it?
The mass graves, the
That's
people
a
that have
start.
the white man's last name,
That's a start.
the books that, and like you said, you got history passed down through people. There's writings from our ancestors too. Not necessarily that far back, but we have books that our ancestors wrote that talk about what happened in slavery. Because slavery didn't end that long ago. It was only 1865. It's 100-some years ago.
Okay,
That's my great-great-grandfather. That's 3 generations.
I'm shifting gears just a little bit, and I was never a music professor, but I did study it in college. One of the distinctions between black and white culture that a lot of people don't understand about music, maybe you could relate to this. I go, people would say, man, I cannot figure out how a jazz musician does that. They just stand there. They're not even looking at music. They just close their eyes and play all of that beautiful shit over the chord changes, and everybody knows. And I go, well, 2 things. One, a good musician knows what the fuck they're doing. number two, a really good musician knows what the other musicians are doing. White music is traditionally written because white people say it is written. And they pull out the periodic table of the elements, the Declaration of Independence, the fucking penal code, the encyclopedia, the dictionary, and Beethoven symphonies, and the Bible. Blah, 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 blah. It's all fucking written. But when a black man understands you, what does a black man say? I hear you, man, or I feel you, or I know that music by heart. So, of course, there's exceptions.
I mean, that doesn't mean they don't know the notes. They have to practice before they get to that level of just doing it blindly and like hearing by ear or playing by ear.
They're more educated than the white
Well,
musicians.
of course, we're the former of all things. But anyways, I'm saying that to say, we know for a fact that the white man stole even music, jazz, blues. They stole all of that from our people. We made that music as an oppressive outlet in slavery. We made all that stuff. But of course, who owns the patent companies? The white man. So we can't take credit for much.
I'm going to throw a weird angle on it. Sometimes the shit that I think is going to happen happens, but it happens in a different way.
What do you mean?
Well, like when you get a gig and you think, oh, what's that nightclub going to be like? And you kind of imagine it. And you don't look it up on Google to see what the nightclub looks like. You get there and it's different than what you thought. Life can be like that. You can get married, have a kid. You have no idea how that's going to turn out, how the end of your life is going to turn out. But you can make plans and you can try to do your best. So,
what's the point? What's the point of you saying that?
There's a great deal of uncertainty in life. Hope for the best.
Is there uncertainty in America being destroyed? Do you think America's going to be destroyed?
As we know it.
Do you think America's going to be destroyed though?
Dude, I was
Based
in
on what's
Russia.
going on.
If I had the pictures, I would show them to you. I was in.
That's not what I asked you. Is America going to be destroyed based on what you've been seeing lately? Well, the world's not going to be destroyed. America's going to be destroyed for sure.
Yeah, but America is far-reaching. Our interests. Remember, I was saying gangsters. America is like a gangster, has tentacles over in Europe.
Well, of course, that's where they came
South
from.
America. Right.
No, South Americans don't stand with America. They have people in power over there, but once things starts going like it already is, they don't stand with America at all. They're causing the oppression in South America by putting people in power that go with either the Israeli viewpoint or America's viewpoint. They're sponsoring coups in all these different countries because they want the people that have America's interest to take power in those places. That's what a coup is. You familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
So you think the people, you think the Jewish lady that just became president in Mexico just became president just by chance because people like her?
No, it was like that guy Fujimori was president of fucking Argentina. What is a Japanese dude being president of Argentina?
Somebody put him in power. The Jewish man probably did.
No, right now it's, the new one is a Jewish dude in Argentina.
Yeah, how did Jewish man... Well, Argentina actually, they did wipe out a lot of indigenous people in Argentina. They wiped about 90% of the population when they went there. Because quiet is kept. Didn't you say that was supposed to be Jewish homeland at one point in time? You hear about that? Argentina, Uganda, things like that. Before they went to Palestine and Israel, the Jewish people that were in Europe, they wanted to go to Argentina or Uganda as their homeland.
The very first.
Why is that? If they're real Jews, why would they not go to Israel and go to Uganda and Argentina?
The very first Zionist
No,
conference.
because they wanted to take on the role as a real Jew when they're not Jews.
It's hard to speak for other people. A lot of times your money.
Well, I'm just telling you history.
a lot
What
of times
was you gonna say?
Yeah, that all took place in the first Zionist conference. They were like, we need a land. We need a land. And they were looking at Uganda or Argentina. Why?
Let me ask you this. If I really am who I say I am, my
What, a mobster's son or grandson?
grandson, and my granddad stole the numbers racket from Bunky Johnson, and that was an injustice, and there were a lot of people murdered in the streets, and they made the movies about it, Cotton Club, all of
Yeah.
that. Hoodlum, right? Did you see those movies? Right?
Cotton Club? I never heard of that.
Anyway,
I'll look it up.
What
look it
is
up.
the justice of me being alive now? Should you guys kill me because
We're not here to
my
kill anybody.
No, and me neither. So isn't it better to think that maybe there's other ways that things get karmically worked out? Like,
Based on what?
well, here you go. I'm just giving you
Financially? Because
Hey,
you already said they're not going to give us reparations.
no, there's something.
So what else can replace 200 million dead bodies? How can that be justified? What, you guys something?
Well, that's what the Jews said about the Holocaust. 6 million people. But I feel
Did
like
they?
a lot of what I said.
Did they get reparations though?
What I said,
They got reparations, didn't they?
not that I know of.
You're a liar.
Oh, you mean from
Germany. Of course they did.
I think-
And from the rest of the world. And they're getting $3 billion every year from America at the minimum. So you mean to tell me they're not getting reparations? That was 70, 80 years ago. They're still getting billions of dollars right now. You mean to tell me the black people that got murdered, over 100 million people, they don't get $1?
But I'm not taking this position. I'm just saying, if you go that route, then you get people saying, read your Bible about the Jews enslaved in Egypt, and they will say, yeah, that
What about
equation
them?
reverses itself when you see that the Egyptians, who were part of the continent of Africa, enslaved the Jews.
Of course.
So it's like,
And what happened to them?
is it all,
What happened
Oh, that was important.
what happened to the Egyptians?
which ones? Are
The ones that
one?
the people that enslaved the Israelites. What happened to them? What happened to the country?
Like all
The
of
firstborn
society-
died. They had 10 plagues, and then he got conquered by the Greeks later on.
They've been fighting over there just like we're fighting.
Okay, then. So America has to pay the same way Egypt had to pay for enslaving the Jews.
Well,
That's justice. It might not happen in our lifetime, but it will happen.
what about through, if you don't want to kill anybody and I don't want to kill anybody, what kind of good works can be done?
We just read it. God's going to put the spirit on Israelites to do it. That's God's will, not our will. I can say whatever I want to say. God already pronounced judgment on your people and the people that conquered this land.
Don't say my people.
Of course, you're Jewish, right? You know the Jewish people sponsored the slave trade?
Only 1/4.
Oh, so why are you saying you're Jewish then?
Because
Or are you Italian?
maybe you're mistakenly assuming that
No, you said that.
anything.
Did he
other
say he was
than
Jewish? I'm not a Jew, I'm Jewish.
1/4 of my DNA is Jewish. 1/4.
You were proud about that about 30 minutes ago. I'm Ashkenazi Jews, my son did it,
No,
and
I
I'm
didn't
here,
say
and we...
Ashkenazi Jew. I said 1/4
Art.
of my DNA
Art, right?
is Jewish.
You didn't say that till now, but that's not a problem.
That doesn't make me 100% Jewish. You didn't ask me what is the other.
What are you
3/4.
then? What are you? I did ask you. You didn't want to tell me. I asked if you were Italian. You said, no, I'm Jewish. You said that about an hour ago. So what are you then?
Mixed.
With what? Different Europeans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're European.
You know, but that's actually a biological DNA distinction.
I believe it.
I go to the blood bank and they ask me that same question.
And what did they say?
They go, state your race. And I say, we had this conversation many times.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually a top blood donor. I'm a famous blood donor.
What are you, though? What'd you tell them?
I told them, I said, I'm mixed. And they kind of looked at me like, what? And I said, I explained the whole thing. And I said,
What's your last name?
and they're going,
Try to get you. I try to see if you're going to say it real quick.
my last name came from my grandmother, who married,
The guy.
Lobster.
Yeah. hmm
and she went with her mother's maiden name to
So
get
you
out
you
of,
have that name then.
to get out of the newspapers.
I see.
You know, but
Same thing Jewish people did. You know they renamed themselves, right?
this is America. You can rename yourself.
Well, no, we're talking about Jewish people back then. They made up names.
Okay, if America's a crime, I'm just
Spielberg,
asking you a question.
Weinstein, and all the Bergs, and like those are fake names. Those aren't even Jewish. Those aren't even Hebrew names. You know what I mean? So now you're trying to escape judgment.
The whole time.
Yeah, you've been trying to usurp. You've been trying to run around and matrix your way out of judgment the whole time.
Running around the whole world trying to escape.
Really?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
yeah,
Art, are you sure about that?
yeah. I am.
They didn't sponsor the slave trade?
They were part of the slave trade themselves.
Where? When?
In Egypt. Biblical times.
White people were back there? That was white people? You know better than that. You know better than that, Art. You know damn well wasn't no white people in Egypt being enslaved. You can look on the walls of Egypt right now.
We're
And it's going to be melanated black people being enslaved by darker skinned African people. You know that. You know better than that. You know white people were not in Egypt. You know that.
I know white
First of
people
all,
were not what?
were white people in Egypt enslaved by the Egyptians?
I'm talking about white people.
Of course you are, because white people are in Israel right now saying they're Jewish. Did those white people go on slave ships?
Why would I be that concerned about
Sir,
what you're talking
now you're
about?
all right.
What are you talking about?
All right.
Who says they are something
All right,
that they're not?
you just said Jewish people went through slavery, right? In Egypt.
Yeah.
Were they white people? Were the white people in Israel, those ancestors, their ancestors enslaved?
This is the part I think that we're getting to. And I told the
Can you
lady
answer that,
at the
though?
blood bank, I go, Jewish is not
Do
white.
you mind answering that though? Were those white people's ancestors enslaved in Egypt? The white Jews in Israel.
Jewish is not white. There's no such thing as a white
Are they
Jew.
white? Do they look like you? Do they look at other Europeans in Europe? Of course they do. Netanyahu's not even from Israel.
Milikowski. Last name Milikowski.
You just said they came from Europe, right?
So where is this going? What am I supposed to be?
I'm letting you know. You just tried to make a claim. I said,
Man, these trucks are killing me and I gotta eat, but I appreciate
yeah, I gotta eat in a second too. Hold on. I got one more thing. All right. Atalo Yehudi. See, you try to run from judgment? Madness, bro. I said, this is what he tried to say. I told him, Jewish people sponsored the slave trade. He goes, no, Jewish people were in slavery. Where? In Egypt. I'm like, oh, so those white people were in Egypt in slavery? Nigga put his head down. He knew he's done. He know that's a damn lie. He know he don't believe that garbage. That's why he couldn't answer. I think I know where this is going. Yeah, you know where it's going because those people are not real Jews. That's the overall point of everything that we were correlating about the conversation. Every question I asked him, he was trying to skate around it. That's how you know he's Jewish. Yeah. Every Jewish person we talk to does that.
They sneaky.
They got the slick little weasel their way out of it. No, I'm gonna bring you right back to where I want you to go until you answer. Now you don't want to answer the truth. Were those white people that are in Israel today, their ancestors in Egypt? Of course he knows the answer is no. He knows that for a fact. Those Jewish people have the second highest skin cancer rate in the world. Why? Because they don't belong there. They don't operate well in the sun. That's how it works. That is insane. You have something?
Yeah, I was looking it up.
What was he gonna say? I know he tapped me on Twitter a while ago, but he was saying a bunch of nonsense.
The fact that he was not going to forgive the dude on the bike because he never said sorry, but every time we talk about justice, he want to act like he's excluded from it, that he has no part in that.
Yeah. And that's why he tried to make that correlation with the 100 people and the one person getting convicted. Basically, he was trying to make it seem like everybody back then that did those atrocities in America, whether it's all the slave owners, things like that, how many people are alive today can take accountability for that particular action of slavery. Of course, he'd be like, oh, nobody's still alive. But guess what? God doesn't see it that way. The people that created America are the descendants of all those people that conquested the Americas and murdered people and put people in slavery. That's the point. So, of course, he don't want to hear that. That's why he kept trying to skate around the subject. His justice is, oh, we can come to a resolution. He said it right before we talk about the other slavery aspect. He said we can come to a resolution. I'm like, okay, well, how? He said, well, if you don't want to kill anybody, and I don't want to kill anybody, how do we do it? I said, well, God already pronounced judgment, bro. Don't ask me. I read the Bible. I believe what God said. And supposedly he's supposed to believe in the Bible, but his son doesn't. But at the same time, he just told me earlier, he doesn't read the Bible. He don't teach the Bible. He don't believe in the Bible. He don't keep Torah. So why are you talking about the Bible now? You know what I mean? It's crazy how much they lie and contradict themselves.
And that's why he don't know what true justice is. Every time we kept talking about justice, he's always going to the judicial system here. In the United
exactly.
States.
They didn't want to make it seem like Jewish people didn't get reparations. Who believes that? Everybody knows damn well the Jewish people got the most reparations in the world to this day. They have the most power in the world due to their I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say it's a negative thing, but due to their unity and things like that, they accomplished the goal of taking over the world pretty much. As far as being in key positions of power and putting their own people in power so they can get stuff accomplished. being lawyers, being doctors, being politicians. You know what I mean? Being bankers. That's how they conquered the world, behind the scenes. And all that circulates to what Kanye said as well. And that's obviously what the Bible says. Amalek was the first of the nations, but their end's going to be with destruction. And that's what he doesn't want to hear. No, you're not going to kill anybody. I'm not going to kill anybody. Well, let's just come to a peaceful dialogue. But he already said we can't get reparations. So what other thing can we get reparations with? Documents that don't matter? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Go ahead.
Even the reparations thing you're talking about with the Jewish people out there, you know, obviously they can't prove the 6 million people died there.
Of course.
But the 6 million people they're getting reparations for, their descendants of people who never died are getting reparations.
Exactly.
When they can't even prove that many people even died there.
That part. Even on the on the little plaque they have, I think it's in Auschwitz or somewhere over there. One of the is it Auschwitz? And it has 1 million on it. It doesn't say 6 million there. It says 1 million on their own little I forgot what it's called, not like a picture, but like an engraving. Like a placard? Yeah, like a placard. It has a million people died over here on their own placard. It's crazy, bro.